Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, maybe good evening. I don't know, depending on where you are. Nice to see you. Welcome to our Walk, Ride, and Roll webinar, all about supporting safety and safe routes, supporting safety and enhancing or sparking joy through community partnerships. So we are talking about people who help keep Safe Routes programs going and kind of celebrating their work, giving some examples of what those partnerships look like. Feel free to take a moment to say hello in the chat as people join in. The chat box should be open for you all to say a hello, and I'll give it a few moments. So those of you who I haven't seen in a while, nice to see you. I don't think I've seen some of you since November, so happy New Year, happy 2024. Happy February. Hope you all are doing well. I'm Corey Johnson, our Program and Engagement Manager here at the partnership. I'm in Baltimore. I see someone from New Market, Maryland, out in Western Maryland. I grew up in Columbia and like New Market, so nice to see you, fellow Marylander Claire. I'm in Baltimore. It's a lovely sunny day here. Hope things are well in the neighborhoods where you are. And please feel free to say hello in the chat, where you're coming from and what you're looking forward to in your Safe Routes work in 2024. So what do you have coming up in the next few months? What are those programs or activities that you're really excited about? Let us know in the chat. Again, we'll give people a few moments to, log in. Again, nice to see so many of you, lots of familiar faces. Michelle, I see you. Hello. And again, feel free to share what it is that you're looking forward to in your Safe Routes work in 2024. So we'll give it a minute here as people log on. And I will take a look and see what people are looking forward to. Lucy in Santa Fe is just inheriting a Safe Routes to School program. That's exciting. Getting things up and running there. What else do we have? People just looking forward to learning more. Awesome. Getting middle schoolers involved in Bike to School Day. Yes, that sounds like a fun and I'm sure large task, but a fun and exciting one, getting the middle schoolers involved in Safe Routes to School. That sounds like something fun to work on in 2024. Let's see, looking forward to opportunities to focus on the built environment rather than placing responsibilities on the individuals. Yes, thinking about like that larger, larger systems change, changes to the built environment. Absolutely, that sounds great. Thanks, Anthony. A few people looking for ideas for rural schools. Yep, that's always a big topic in our Safe Routes community. All right, so please feel free to continue to add your thoughts into the chat. It's so exciting to see so many of you working on so many great things and a lot of really exciting programs and activities coming up in 2024. And I'll share some activities that I'm working on in 2024 as well as we move through this webinar. So again, feel free to continue to share in the chat. Also, if you have any resources or things you want to share in the chat, please feel free to do so throughout the webinar. If you have questions, put your questions in the Q&A box. That way I can make sure that I know what's a question and what's a comment. And the Q&A box will be open. I'll have some time for questions at the end. So if you can keep resources and fun ideas in the chat box and questions in Q&A, that would be awesome. We're also recording this webinar, so if you missed anything or if you want to go back and rewatch, you're welcome to do so. I'll send a link out afterwards. I'm going to also share the presentation slides. So if you missed anything, don't worry, it'll be shared afterwards. And all of the links to the different resources that I'm talking about are actually in the presentation. So if you're trying to scramble to get links, don't worry, it's in the presentation, and I will share all of those with you. So. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I think that a lot of you all are familiar with the partnership in our work, but if you're not for any reason, just a quick recap of who we are and the work that we do. So at the Safe Routes Partnership, we work to advance safe walking and rolling, both to school, but also to other everyday destinations, whether it's parks, grocery stores, libraries, just those places that community members go to. and really focused on improving the health and well-being of people of all backgrounds, all races, income levels, abilities, disabilities, and building healthy, thriving communities for everyone. So those of you who know us already, nice to see you again, and those of you who are new, welcome. So my question was, what are you excited about in 2024? And one thing I'm excited about that you all been asking for a few years now is that we are finally having an in-person conference in October. We'll be gathering in beautiful Fort Collins, Colorado for our 2024 Safe Routes to School National Conference. So this will be a chance for you all for all of us actually to, connect in person and, come together as a Safe Routes community. We're really looking forward to, having everybody together. It's been a few years since we had our last conference in 2019 in Tampa. So we're really looking forward to, being in that space with you all in Fort Collins in October. We'll have a lot more information and details about the conference coming up over the next few months. But in the meantime, please make sure that you save the date. And we also wanted to make sure that you all know that we are doing a call for proposals. So, think about those projects and great ideas that you've been working on and think about what you might want to share in person with us in Fort Collins. So we'll drop the link in the chat to the call for proposals information, but the deadline is March 4th. So you have about a month to kind of get your ideas together. And we have a simple online form to fill out. We also have a PDF version to kind of help you plan out your, session and get some brainstorming done. And we have 5 session themes that we're going to be focusing on for our call for proposals. So implementing safe routes with equity at the forefront. We know that equity is a big part of our work in safe routes. And so those of you who are, have examples or strategies for really bringing equity into your work, we'd love to hear from you. Sustaining the journey, so thinking about equitable funding, policy, and planning, some of the nuts and bolts that keep this work going. Pathways to the future, so thinking about how to incorporate technology, data, and innovation into Safe Routes programs. We'd love to hear some examples of that. Safe routes everywhere. So, expanding the Safe Routes to School movement beyond the journey to schools, but thinking about how we're, creating safe routes to parks, to libraries, to grocery stores, to other community destinations. And finally, uncharted routes. So what are those, creative solutions or new ideas to some of the issues that we're seeing and are trying to solve in our communities? So that is a very brief overview of what we have coming up conference-wise. So like I mentioned, get your proposal ideas ready. You're always welcome to reach out if you want to run a question by me or just have a chat. I'm happy to do so. And more information on the conference coming. So we hope we see you all in October. And another quick note before I pivot into our partnership chat is just making sure that you all are aware that, Safe Routes are always here to, help you. We have our workshops and trainings catalog on our website. So if you need any sort of technical assistance or workshops, either virtual or in person, please feel free to reach out to me or Dave Cowan, who is our newest addition to our Safe Routes team. Dave is our new consulting and program support director. Many of you might know him from his work as the Minnesota Safe Routes to School coordinator. So he is now with us at the helm of our consulting work, and he's also in the chat box today. So feel free to say a hello to Dave and connect with him about any TA that you all might need, whether it's Safe Routes to School related, transportation, active transportation related, community engagement, supporting your state network, or even just designing your own opportunity. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about that. So I will pause there, just make sure there aren't any questions in the chat box. And again, if you need anything, feel free to, reach out to us. We're here to help. We'd love to work with you. And thanks, Dave, for being on and answering questions in the chat box. I appreciate it. All right, so getting back to why we're here today, we're here today to talk about partnerships. And I'm going to do a little throwback to a toolkit that doesn't feel that old, but it's been a few years now, our community engagement toolkit, which I think published in 2021, I believe. So this is basically a community engagement framework that we developed here at the partnership that really thinks about, how to implement thoughtful and equitable community engagement for Safe Routes to School. So within the toolkit, there's our community engagement frameworks and best practices, guiding questions. We have some case studies, safe routes engagement tips, tools, research, worksheets, and resources. And again, it's really focused on equitable community engagement. And so within that toolkit, we have their community engagement framework, which is reflecting on your role as a community partner, researching where you're working, partnering with other organizations and groups, which we'll talk about today, planning thoughtful, culturally responsive engagement experiences, implementing your engagement experiences, and then sustaining those efforts. And so I have partnerships highlighted because today we're going to be talking all about how to, create and sustain partnerships with organizations and institutions that can really not only support safety in your program, but also just spark some fun and joy and creativity. So that is what we are talking about here today. And again, just thinking about why partnership matters, I think we all know this, that it's really hard to run a Safe Routes program on your own. So our partners are people who really help us keep Safe Routes programs going. Partnerships can help stretch resources, helps you build community, can increase your capacity to do your work, help increase program buy-in, brings another layer of accountability. It's just making sure that, everybody's doing what they are set out to do and say they're going to do. Can help you really expand your knowledge, not only of, Safe Routes, but also of the community that you're working with, and also just boost morale, to know that you have a teammate and somebody by your side supporting your Safe Routes programs. And also, communities really need us to work together. I know that I've heard a lot recently from communities that I've worked in about wanting to make sure that all the community partners are, connected and working together, because it just makes things easier for everyone. So I've heard people just, straight out ask for more streamlined communication, just not having a gazillion, flyers or emails to go through. Can I have one email or one channel of communication if possible? One-stop shop engagement experiences, not having to go to 5 different health fairs, but can I just have one experience in one place? Community members have said that that's really helpful. Again, those higher levels of accountabilities, making sure that, your partners, making sure that everybody's kind of, playing their role and doing their part. And people also just like for us to, cooperate and collaborate. I think it's nice to see people kind of, come together and be collaborative in a time that can feel so divisive. Just seeing people actually, cooperate and connect is always great. And also just fun. People are looking for fun, exciting things to do in their communities. And so I think that, working with community partners can really kind of help up your fun factor. So that's what I've kind of heard from the communities I've worked with. And I think that when you're reaching out to maybe even new community partners, just some ideas to think about as you're starting to approach new people or maybe re-engage a partner who has been engaged for a while. As you think about your Safe Routes program and who you're trying to reach and the audiences who might not be participating in Safe Routes, think about who you're trying to engage and then how this new partner could connect you to that audience. So if you're looking to engage more young people, maybe there's a youth anime club at the library that, might not be a natural Safe Routes connection, but that has access to young people. So how can these partners help you engage a new audience? What problem are you trying to solve? And how can your new partner play a role in the solution? So, for example, maybe you're trying to, build up a walking school bus program, but there are some students that don't have, winter coats and it's cold outside. Is there an organization that can help provide winter coats to help reduce the barriers to participating in Safe Routes programs? Think about some of those larger issues that you're trying to solve. And also, what does your partner care about? So we know that transportation isn't everybody's focus. Not everybody is working on Safe Routes programs, but there are usually some areas of alignment between what you're working on and what your partner is working on. So where are those common points of interest and how can you work together to align those priorities? And then lastly, how can the partnership address a larger community need? Whether it's transportation related or improving social connectedness or having making sure people are more physically active. How can, working with a new community partner help you reach some of those goals? And then also just a few pretty practical things. Do you need a formal agreement to establish this partnership? So sometimes we kind of gloss that over, and then a few months down the line, it's like, oh yeah, we never signed that MOU or that formal agreement. So, being upfront at the beginning about what types of formal partnerships you might need to establish. And also just what other additional support or additional information do you need to make the partnership successful? And I think that really having this open line of communication and approaching partnerships, from like a holistic level can really help enhance your community engagement and make your Safe Routes program better. So those are a few partnership ideas to focus on. And again, like with a larger reminder that Safe Routes to School really does benefit an entire community. So if you're thinking about ways to align priorities with a different partner, consider thinking about the benefits of Safe Routes to School. And I'd assume that there's probably some point of alignment in one of these different benefits that can kind of connect you to a new community partner. So I just wanted to, kind of frame our conversation there. And I'm also just curious to hear from you all about who are your favorite community partners, the community partners who you just, cannot live without, who are always here for your, for your programs, and are always supporting you. I'd love to hear, you just see in the chat a bit about who are some of the partners who you all work with, preferably outside of schools. Know that schools are partners, but anybody else who you think, is a great community partner. Someone said bookshops. Janice, you're my favorite person as a book lover. I love to see bookshops and libraries on that list. Safe Kids Coalitions, yes. Bike clubs, senior living centers, Newmarket Green Team, county and land use departments, transportation departments, absolutely. Crossing guards, yes, great partners. County health departments, YMCAs. Yeah, so keep that list going. Again, the chat box is a chance for you all to get some new ideas and resources in your mind too. So, keep that going. And also be curious to hear if there are any new partners who you might not have engaged yet, but want to bring into your program. So you're like, oh, it would be cool to work with the summer camp, but I haven't done that yet. Can I, engage that partner? Or I haven't worked with the library yet, but that would be a cool partner to bring on. So any partners that you're kind of like scoping out and hoping to engage might not have done so yet. I'd love for you all to drop those in the chat box as well. I see a lot of PTA and PTO and parent and caregiver clubs in the chat as well, AARP. More engagement with the school's construction team. Yes, absolutely. Healthcare professionals, neighborhood task forces. Yes, those neighborhood groups, community groups that are, kind of working to do some, good work in the neighborhood, local gyms. Awesome. So thank you all for sharing a bit about that. And again, keep those ideas going in the chat box. So I wanted to get started just doing a brief overview of a partnership idea that we covered last year, but I wanted to just do a little refresh just to reinforce the idea of how wonderful our college and university partners can be. So I feel like some of you might have heard me talk about this before, so I'll go through this a little quickly, but I did want to make sure that I did cover some ideas for partnering with colleges and universities. So as you think about, what partners you need to reach out to, who can really help, enhance and improve your program, college and university partners are wonderful resources. They can help with so many things from data, evaluation, research, GIS mapping, supporting your events, documenting events, helping out with grants and funding, community engagement, innovation. There are a lot of opportunities to partner with local colleges and universities, and that includes community colleges, vocational schools, all of the above. So if you're thinking about, a need that you have in your program, consider reaching out to a college and university partner. And, again, these partnerships look like so many different things, whether it's somebody reached out to me a few weeks ago about doing a project to evaluate the effectiveness of walking school bus programs, which a lot of us want to know, like walking school bus programs are great, but where's the, data around their effectiveness? There's actually somebody who's doing a whole research project on that. Piloting traffic safety tools and apps, creating GIS maps, having people volunteer at your events. Bike and Roll to School Day is coming up in May. Can you bring some university partners into that? Maybe there are grant proposals where Safe Routes School can be a part of it. and even just like sharing some of the latest reports and research and data around physical activity. I know that there are like a lot of data portals and research portals that I don't have access to, but my university partners do. So if there's like a new report, asking them if they can access that for me and share it. That's a great way to work with colleges and universities. And also, it really just depends on what it is that you're looking for. You're looking for curriculum development, engineering ideas, evaluation, again, the engagement piece, advancing equity, climate justice. University partners can help with all of that, and it'll also help you determine where to reach out. A lot of colleges and universities are rather large, so knowing what department to go to is really helpful. So is it public health or engineering, the education department if you need some curriculum support, urban planning, thinking about our future planners, our future engineers, connecting with them about Safe Routes programs, research and data centers. I think we have some people from research and data centers in the chat box. They can help you with Safe Routes projects and collecting data, analyzing data, accessing data. Also service learning organizations, fraternities and sororities, student groups, just these groups might be able to help provide some on-the-ground support for your next bike rodeo or walk and roll to school day event. Colleges and universities can really help fill in a lot of those program gaps. And again, they want to. So we definitely reach out. I also wanted to make a little plug for university hospitals as well. They have a lot of really great data about health, safety, crash data. Those of you who work with Safe Kids coalitions might also be connected to your local university health system. They also offer a lot of really great health and wellness programs related to food and nutrition, physical activity, and again, those safety programs, whether it's Safe Kids coalitions, helmet giveaways, seatbelt safety. So if you're looking for other ways to work with universities, university hospitals are also a really great resource, especially around the data piece and, kind of the health and safety programs. So definitely worth taking a look. And of course, partnership is also a two-way street. So you don't just want to take from your partner, but what can you actually give them? Safe Routes programs can actually offer a lot to university partners, whether it's just connections to schools, connections to, students, younger students and their families, service learning opportunities, like I mentioned, that real world experience of like, what does it actually look to, plan with Safe Routes to School in mind? What are those school engineering strategies to make it safer for kids to walk and bike to school? An engineering student could probably learn a lot from somebody who works in Safe Routes about Safe Routes school engineering. So you really do have that, that expertise and that network to offer your college and university partners. And also, like I mentioned earlier, Safe Routes is also just fun. So if somebody's looking for like a fun service learning opportunity or volunteer event, Safe Routes can, be a good place to get that experience. And again, I've talked about these before, so I'll breeze through them, but just some current wonderful community partnerships with colleges and universities. This is a grant that I worked on with Howard University. We piloted a near miss crash reporter app for youth. So it was me, the Howard University Transportation and Research Data Center, DC Public Schools, and the Washington Area Bicyclist Association. And we could not have done this project without Howard and their amazing data collection and research team. And we were able to actually put together, or in the process of putting together a pilot for young people to report near miss incidents by their school campuses. So great partnership there with Howard. University of Colorado, Denver did a really cool had a really cool partnership with a PhD student who was thinking about advancing equity and Safe Routes to School, and did some really great and creative engagement activities in the Boulder area, and was really able to provide some strategies to inform more equitable community engagement and Safe Routes to School. So they did interviews and community activities, a cool like survey and mapping activity. And again, the focus is really on who are we not hearing from? Who's experiencing barriers to participating in our program. And so she was able to kind of, come in and spearhead some of those efforts, and then inform more equitable engagement strategies for Boulder Safe Routes to School. There's a great service learning example from San Jose State University. So again, this was an opportunity for urban planning students to come in and support Safe Routes to School programs in San Jose. They have like a full project report, which is linked here in the presentation, but that was a great way both for students to learn about safe routes and for school communities to get some real safe route support and engagement from local university students. So they did site visits, mapping, community meetings, task forces, surveys, walking school buses. They did a lot. And it was just a wonderful opportunity or wonderful idea of what collaboration between a school district, the city, and the university looks like. So check out that full report for sure. And then in Colorado Mesa University created a website and mobile app with a map of some of the closest and safest school routes to support their Safe Routes to School program. So those of you who aren't technology experts or GIS experts, I know that I am definitely not. A lot of college and university partners can help out with that. So that is my very abridged version of college and university partnerships. If you have any questions, again, feel free to drop them in the chat, but just keep in mind as you're thinking about developing your program and connecting with new partners, that your college and university partners are out there and can help and are actually genuinely interested in Safe Routes programs. So keep that in mind. Next are library partnerships. So I did a very brief overview of library partnerships in a past webinar, and I wanted to provide some more examples of all the amazing work that's happening with libraries supporting Safe Routes programs. So just a little overview about how these partnerships are developing. So libraries, like schools, are really important community destinations. And a lot of libraries are actually expanding to health and wellness programs, including things like walking programs, more youth programming, community gardens, bike repair stations, story walks, which I'll talk about a little bit later, climate justice events. And libraries are also getting increasingly involved in transportation projects, including developing safe infrastructure to actually travel to a library. Libraries are also just oftentimes more neutral gathering spaces for community meetings, forums, information sessions, outreach tabling. There's a lot of opportunity to connect with your local libraries. Schools will also really appreciate this connection. I assume that if you talk to any educators recently, you probably heard them talk about learning loss and students who are, falling below, when it comes to reading and math. And so I think any opportunity to support reading or literacy is definitely welcome by our school partners. So that's just another way to kind of sell the library partnership. So like I said, libraries can do a lot, whether it's hosting events, activities, creating flyers, promoting initiatives, and there are opportunities both in our big cities and also in small and rural communities. So I'd say reach out to a library or reach out to the library branch manager. This is probably the person who can help you coordinate an event, book space, distribute materials, promote events. I'm working on a project in DC, and the two library branch managers who I'm working with are amazing. They have helped me so much and have gotten me everything that I've needed. And they're people who actually really help the library, continue and keep going on a daily basis. So if you're thinking about reaching out to a library, especially in a larger library system, a branch manager could be a good way to go with sparking up this partnership. And again, thinking about what you can bring to a library, since partnerships are a two-way street, that connection to schools, family programming, also connections to local decision makers. So libraries might not be connected to, the local planner or the city council member or an engineer. So you can kind of, help bridge those gaps and, connect them to different decision makers in the community. And you also have that transportation knowledge and that safe routes knowledge that might actually help a librarian improve access to their, to their site. And also lots of libraries are located either next to a school or around a school. So it's a nice way to kind of, make sure that Safe Routes to School really is this, community-based program that we say it is. Also, just things like offering school travel maps at a library can be really helpful, whether it's just, posting something on the community board or doing some outreach tabling. And lastly, again, the fun factor. So we know that Safe Routes offers lots of fun programming and activities, and libraries are looking for fun and exciting things to do. So what does this actually look like? I have some really cool examples to share with you about libraries supporting Safe Routes programs. First, if you want just a whole list of how libraries can support Safe Routes programs, there's the Let's Move in Libraries program out of UNC Greensboro, which talks a lot about how libraries are really supporting physical activity within libraries and the communities that libraries live in. So check out that information. And a few really cool examples of things that are happening across the country. So there's a walking school bus program in Perry, Iowa, run out of the Perry Public Library. Matt Berkey, I saw you on here earlier from Iowa. You're probably familiar with this one. But this is basically a walking school bus program that's offered, in partnership with the library. So the goal is to encourage more walking to school, and students can go onto the library website and sign up for the walking school bus program. There are two sessions, one in the fall and one in the spring. They operate on Friday mornings, and the walking school bus is in partnership with the local library. So if you're thinking about finding opportunities to get more people involved in walking school bus program, get more walking school bus volunteers, your local library could be a place that could assist with that. And so this is a really cool example of a walking school bus that's actually run through the library, and all the information is on the library website. And it's a really cool way to bring librarians and library supporters into the walking school bus movement. So shout out to Perry, Iowa for that idea. I saw somebody from Mesa, Arizona in the chat earlier. So this is an example from Mesa. This is the Bike to Books design contest, which is actually inspired by a similar contest in Portland, Oregon. So this is a growing area of interest when it comes to safe routes and library partnerships. This was a youth designed art contest, and young people actually designed art that was displayed along a shared use path. And it was in partnership with the library, the city, and the City of Mesa's bike and pedestrian program. And so the goal of this is really to inspire a love of reading and biking. So each art piece included a book recommendation, which is really cool. And contest winners got bike safety gear and recognition from City Council. So you're thinking about, some of the local infrastructure projects that are happening in your community, or ways to kind of add some flair to your local, local routes and paths. A library partnership could be a cool way to kind of bring in some student artwork and support both reading and a safe route to a library or a school. So it's a cool idea out of Arizona. In Burlington, Vermont, there's an e-bike lending library. I know that we've talked a lot about e-bikes over the past few months, and communities not really understanding how to use e-bikes or if e-bikes are really safe. And so in Vermont, they said, well, let's let people actually try out e-bikes and see what they think, and encourage them to use e-bikes for short trips, whether it's to pick up kids from school or to run to the grocery store, just those little small, quick trips around town. So Local Motion, which is a Vermont-based organization, they provided a little e-bike lending library that was available at the library. And people could actually check out a bike that included a cargo bike and just test out what it's like to go on a quick trip with an e-bike, or pick up your kids from school with an e-bike. So that's, again, a nice opportunity to kind of think about how to encourage more school travel and get people to test out an e-bike from their local library. So that's a great example from Vermont. This is a really great example of an infrastructure partnership between a library and a school. So this was in New Olmsted, Ohio, and there's basically a sidewalk project that connected the middle school to the library, and it was a part of the school district's, capital improvement upgrade, basically. So it was using district funds to create this sidewalk that allowed kids to walk safely from school to a library. So not only did it provide, better access to the library for students, but it also solved a larger community problem, because I'm sure a lot of you all are familiar with bus routes being cut, walking and biking zones being expanded, and a lot of communities are trying to deal with, what do we do with less buses and less bus drivers? And so this particular library saw that a lot of kids were actually going to the library after school, a lot of it due to some of the bus, bus route shortages. And so they decided to make sure that kids could actually get to the library safely for after school programming. So this was a really great way to kind of, tackle a larger community issue and make it safer for kids to travel from school to the library. We know that not all students go home right after school, and this is a really great example of making sure that no matter where kids are going after school, they can have a safe way to get there. So it's a really great infrastructure example of a library partnership. Bozeman, Montana has a really cool program where they do Wednesday walks. So I guess it's kind of like Walking Wednesdays, but they call it Wednesday Walks. And this is a weekly walking group that's led by a local wildlife guide. So it introduces people to the local trails, history, all the amazing wildlife that's in the area. It really helps connect people to their community, to the city. It encourages physical activity. And I really love that it also incorporates a local wildlife guide who can talk about what you actually see on your walk. So, thinking about a safe routes version of this, could a safe routes coordinator lead a, Wednesday walk, or somebody from the historical society lead, a community walk and roll event. Or, another local, hero or celebrity who might want to, be a part of a Wednesday walk. That's something that can be coordinated in partnership with a local library. And lastly, we have the Kentucky Bike Derby, which I thought was a really clever kind of local spin on the Kentucky Derby. And this is a bike rodeo for kids hosted at the library in partnership with not only the library, but Parks and Rec, the Kiwanis Club, the Salvation Army, Pedal Power, and the library. This was a part of Bike Month. It taught kids bike safety. They handed out 100 bikes. It was a nice way to kind of bring all these different community partners together. And I also forgot to mention that all these examples are from the past years. These aren't just they did this 5 years ago. Literally, these are all from 2023. So these are very recent, recent partnerships between Safe Routes supporters or Safe Routes programs and the local library. The other example that I think is going to become a bigger thing moving forward are story walk projects. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the story walk, but it is definitely gaining momentum, kind of similar to how, bike trains are great, gaining momentum. I feel like story walks are kind of like the next big thing. So basically a story walk is when you display pages of a children's book along a walking route. So you decide whatever book you want, you print it out and you display it along a route. And I'll share a photo and a short video of what this looks like in a minute. So this is an opportunity again to partner with a local library or a park. Another way to really spark a love of reading and also encourage physical activity. And it's also really budget flexible. So there are lots of ways to do this. There are lots of ways for story walks to look. They can be outside, they can be inside, the book can be whatever you want it to be. Tacoma Safe Routes to School did a really cool story walk for Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. And I'll show you a short video and some photos of what they were able to put together. So give me 1 minute here and I will pull up what their story walk looked like. And this was a really great example of how to, incorporate Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day into a story walk. So hopefully you all can see this. Let's start it over here. So this is basically what a story walk looks like. So this is they use the story, I am Ruby Bridges, and then just, displayed the story along a walking route in a park. And this is a part of their Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day celebration. So again, not only does it really help, promote literacy and Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, it also promotes physical activity and allows students and families to enjoy the story as they're walking around as they're walking around their local park. And they also have, I can also share with you all some photos of that event as well. So you can really kind of see how the whole partnership really came together. So let's see. So here are some examples of the students who are enjoying their Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day event and are looking at the story walk. There are students that are just kind of checking everything out. There's the book there. Yeah, so I thought that was a really great example of, again, another library partnership that you might want to think about as you're yeah, organizing your next walk and roll to school day, bike and roll to school day. And that was a really cool partnership with a library as well. So I'm going to stop here, take a pause, see if there are any questions in the chat box or resources in the chat box. But that is my pitch to partnering with your local library. Another just quick Storywalk example, I'm working on a Storywalk project in Washington, D.C., and we're actually creating our own Storywalk called the Safe Routes Storywalk. So we're going to create our own story that'll be all about traffic safety and traveling safely to the library. So I'm in the process of working on that now, and I'll share more with you when it is done this fall. But yeah, story walks are kind of the new big and fun thing that's happening in lots of communities. So if you're not familiar with Story Walk, that could be a great way to kind of bring some flair into your Safe Routes program. All right, and then last thing I wanted to talk about a few emerging partnerships. So these are partnerships that might not necessarily be the norm yet, but that are gaining steam and popularity in the Safe Routes community. And again, if you have any emerging partnerships, I'd love to hear what you all are working on in the chat box. These are just some ideas. Some of you actually might have done these and I just don't know about it. So if you have any experience with these partnerships, please do let me know because I'd love to hear what you all have been up to. So the first is we know that Safe Routes programs are expanding to high school. High schools are eligible for Safe Routes School funding, and people are still thinking about how do I actually connect with high school students? What does that look like? So there are some Safe Routes programs that are actually partnering with teen driver programs, both as a way to engage high school students, but also share different transportation options. We know that some students or some high school students, need to drive or want to drive, but that's not necessarily like the only way to get around town now if you have a license. So, just letting people know that while you're driving now, you can still, walk or bike or ride your scooter or roller skate or skateboard or, do whatever you do. And it's also a nice way to kind of reinforce some of that bike and pedestrian safety from, when the older students now might have been little students, just making sure that they're aware of, looking out for people who are walking and biking, as young drivers behind the wheel and just reinforcing those safety messages. It's also a chance to provide school travel maps and even just letting people know, hey, keep in mind that, when you're driving, make sure that you look, to see, where the school zones are or what time, the local elementary school is letting out. So you're aware that there are, little people who are, walking and biking and rolling around you. So, just a way to kind of, again, reinforce what we know works for Safe Routes and just continue to have it be a part of, people's minds, even as they, might continue on, and grow older and become drivers. And then also like a lot of the public service announcement contests, I've seen some like, Vision Zero contests for high school students around, being safe drivers. That could also be a part of partnering with teen driver programs. I see Matt in the chat just said that he was invited to help update the curriculum of a teen driver program to include more about vulnerable road users. That is a perfect example. You all as Safe Routes experts really offer a lot to young people who are not even just young people who are learning how to drive, anybody who's learning how to drive, about how to make sure that you're keeping people safe that are walking and biking and rolling. So that is my first emerging partnership. And thanks, Matt, for that example. Keeping on the driving theme, the Department of Motor Vehicles or Motor Vehicles Association, depending on where you live, the DMV, it is not always the most fun place to visit. People who are DMV and they're just like, oh, I don't want to go and, sit in the waiting room forever. It takes so long, although some branches have gotten better. But I've seen some Safe Routes coordinators actually do outreach at their local DMV branch, and they'll, hand out Safe Routes materials or hand out giveaways or have a little fun activity going on. And again, it's just another way to reinforce traffic safety in a traffic hub. So you're already kind of, on theme with the transportation piece. Provide some giveaways, something fun for people to do while they wait, that you can sometimes wait a long time with the DMV. And it's also an opportunity to learn about community traffic safety concerns. So again, people kind of already have driving on their mind. And if you want to learn a bit more about, what do people actually care about? What are they concerned about? How can Safe Routes be a part of that solution? actually going to a DMV could be a great way to kind of do some community outreach, community research, and get a sense of, how to incorporate safe routes to school more into, some of the solutions people are thinking about when it comes to traffic safety in a community. So DMV outreach could be your next idea for this for this spring. The next is celebrating local heroes. So I just mentioned Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, and during our Safe Routes to School Summit in October, someone from Hawaii was on, and they were saying, like, Ruby Bridges doesn't necessarily have the same level of importance here in Hawaii that she might have in other communities. Like, can we celebrate somebody else, in our community instead? And I was like, sure, like you can celebrate any kind of local hero you want to. It's been amazing to watch Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, kind of develop and thrive over the years, but it doesn't have to stop there. If there's, an important community figure or somebody who you might want to honor, in another walk and roll event, please do so. And Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day really can provide a nice model for what that can look like. So, if there are other like local heroes or champions who you want to celebrate in your community, feel free to do so. That's a great way to really make sure that your Safe Routes program is staying, relevant and culturally responsive, and that you're really celebrating, like what makes your Safe Routes program special. So feel free to connect with your schools, libraries, community groups, historical societies, or just ask, like, crossing guards, who do you want to celebrate? What should we, and how should we celebrate them? I see Jim in the chat says that they honor their local champions with the Golden Sneaker Award at their anniversary celebration. So again, any chance to kind of highlight local heroes and local Safe Routes champions is a great way to kind of continue to spark up these partnerships. Another idea, I don't know if any of you have done any mall outreach or shopping center outreach, but this is something else that I've seen some Safe Routes coordinators do recently. Just going to a mall or a local shopping center, it's similar to the DMV idea with handing out materials, handing out supplies, doing giveaways, walk and roll events. Lots of people, I know at least some of the malls that I've been in, lots of people actually like get their physical activity by walking around a mall, especially older adults or sometimes families. Connect with local businesses. This is just another way to reach people. And thinking about this, this location especially, many people actually still shop in person, although, online shopping is there and it's out there and, a lot of us do it, that a lot of people still shop in person, whether it's, out of preference or necessity. So places like malls, farmers markets, grocery stores, swap meets, flea markets are still really important commercial and cultural centers. So if there's a group that you're not necessarily reaching, going to a local mall, shopping center, local market could be a great way to reach those audiences. Just wanted to put that out there as well. I mentioned this earlier about the clothing and shoes drives. So thinking about reducing barriers to walking and biking and rolling, if there's students aren't walking to school because they're cold out because they don't have a coat or they don't have the proper, walking and rolling gear, partnering up with an organization that offers, winter coats or scarves or shoes or food distribution centers. That's another really great way to kind of, make sure that everybody can participate in Safe Routes programs and that, we're reducing some of those barriers to walking and biking and rolling to school. I see Fernando just said that malls also work great when raining or in really hot weather. Yes, absolutely. I know I've done outreach when it's like sweltering outside. And so to be in a nice air-conditioned building doing outreach tabling is really helpful. And a mall is a good place for that. So thanks for that tip. And lastly, there's a really cool group that's called Solving Fun, where they do these really cool community puzzle hunts. So I know like back in like the height of COVID lockdown, community scavenger hunts kind of became a thing. And so Solving Fun, it's kind of that same idea of creating community scavenger hunts and puzzle hunts. And it's, again, another way to promote physical activity. And also there's a really cool community building component. And so this group actually created a custom puzzle for Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day for Safe Routes to School in San Mateo County in California. And I can share their website to show you all what they actually put together. It's pretty cool. And again, just another way to kind of, connect with community partners and add some fun and joy and flair to your Safe Routes program. So this is the Safe Routes to School community puzzle in honor of Ruby Bridges. And this is basically a community puzzle that is Ruby Bridges themed, and that includes a lot of tips and strategies for safe routes to school. And so it just encourages people to kind of, get out and solve the puzzle together. Again, also promotes that walking and biking piece and the Ruby Bridges piece. And this one, was done for San Mateo County Safe Routes to School program. So again, just another way to kind of, bring in a new community partner, bring in some, fun, some joy, some additional flair to your Safe Routes programs. And I believe that Solving Fun, I think they're based in California. I want to say Palo Alto, but if anybody knows in the chat and I'm wrong, correct me. But they have some really great ideas for kind of incorporating these fun community puzzles into your program. And this includes lots of different safety tips and information about Ruby Bridges. And yeah, it's just like kind of a fun way to spice up your Safe Routes program and your Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day celebrations. So that is a bit about Solving Fun. And again, all these links will be shared afterwards. If you missed anything, don't worry, I'll make sure that you get what you need. All right, and again, if anybody has questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat or drop them in the drop them in the Q&A box or add your resources to the chat. I'm happy to expand on anything or drop links for anything. Just let me know what it is that you need. And so lastly, we have our new partnership fact sheet that'll be out on our website posted shortly, but it'll give you, again, some more ideas for sparking these new partnerships. It'll have those partnership reflection questions. It'll talk about partnering with colleges and universities, partnering with libraries, these emerging partnership ideas, and then our partnership highlights and best practices. So if you want to dive a bit deeper into different Safe Routes community partnerships, this is an opportunity to do so. And again, the big idea about this is that anybody can really be a Safe Routes community partner. It's just finding ways to align priorities and thinking about, how to get creative with the ways that you all are working together. So whether it's a library or a university or a park or a mall, there are so many different opportunities to expand your community partnerships. And now is a great time to do so, especially with, a lot of schools being at capacity or burnt out. Who are those other community partners you can connect with and who can really, be champions for your program? And they're out there and they're definitely excited to work with you. So I hope you all let us know some of your new partnerships that are kind of sparking up over the next few months for springtime and Bike Month and all the other fun events you all have coming up in 2024. Somebody asked about where we'll post this webinar. The recording will be on our website. So I'll send out all this information, all the slides will be on our website. So I will make sure I send out all of these links. Any other questions or comments in the chat, please feel free to drop them in now. We have a few minutes left and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Lori asked, curious to know if anyone partners with local hospital injury prevention programs. A few people in the chat mentioned Safe Kids Coalitions. That's the main partner that I work with when it comes to injury prevention. And a lot of them are actually run out of local hospitals. So if anybody else has any other partners they've worked with for injury prevention programs, feel free to drop those in the chat. But Lori, I'm not sure where you're located, but looking for your local Safe Kids Coalition could be a great way to kind of connect with the childhood injury prevention community. We can drop that link in the chat as well. Karina, any recommendations when there is a lack of funding for resources as small as educational materials and as big as infrastructure changes after completing walk audits using the Safe Routes to School toolkit? And Dave, I see you responding to this in the chat as well. And if anybody has any other ideas, again, feel free to put them in the chat. But the question is about recommendations when there's a lack of funding for Safe Routes resources, from educational materials all the way through infrastructure changes. So there are some infrastructure funding opportunities that I can drop in the chat box, whether there are large federal funding opportunities, or even some that might be local to your community. So I can drop those in the chat box as well. Also, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to things like, educational materials or, evaluation materials, college and university partners can actually help with some of that, whether it's, helping to provide materials, to provide volunteers for event support. Libraries can also help with that, providing educational materials. Your Safe Kids coalitions can help with some of those. Also, like some of your local community groups, like the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club, your PTAs, your PTOs, parent caregiver groups, some of like those local organizations or local foundations that might not have like huge pots of money, but that might have a few $100s to print materials or, offer a few giveaways. That's how a lot of programs that I've worked with have been able to, kind of like fund some of those smaller projects or initiatives, sponsorships from local businesses. That's been really great. So, some of it is actually just looking and seeing what's available like directly in your community. So who are those community groups? Who are the volunteer groups? Are there local fraternities and sororities that can sponsor an event or sponsor some event materials? They've been a great resource. So I have to kind of like check around and just see, who's local to your area and who's, can fund some small projects. Also having a specific ask, and say like, hey, we need to, we're looking for 100 bike helmets for our bike rodeo. Having something really specific can also help connect with some of like those local smaller funders. I see AAA, somebody put AAA in the chat. That's a great idea. So I would say kind of, go local for the smaller pots of funding. And then for the larger infrastructure changes, probably connecting with your, city, your county, your town, transportation department could be a good way to go. And I can drop some of those larger funding opportunities in my follow-up email as well. Any other questions? I'm going to take a look at the chat box too, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Someone else asked about funding specifically for Safe Routes to School. So Fernando, same thing, where I can drop some specific funding links in my follow-up email around how to actually fund a Safe Routes to School program. They're funded in all different kinds of ways. So I can give you some options for what that funding looks like. Alrighty, so we have about a few minutes left. So I wanted to make sure I have enough time for my last minute reminders. Again, feel free to continue dropping ideas in the chat box, and I'll also save the chat. So if I missed anything in the midst of my presenting, I can make sure I can go back and comb through the chat and share any resources or ideas in my follow-up email. So I'll get that to you all as well. Alrighty, so hopefully you all have some new partnership ideas, or at least some partnership inspirations as you move into an exciting springtime with Bike Month coming and Warmer Month coming. We're really excited to see what partnerships you all are kind of sparking up over the next few months. We're really excited about what's happening here at Safe Routes partnership this spring. So we have a few more webinar and Zoom opportunities coming up in the next few months. So we're going to be doing a Safe Routes Open Zoom networking session on April 11th. So this is an opportunity for us to kind of come together as a Safe Routes community and connect, share ideas, share resources. It's a nice open discussion for you all to connect with each other as Safe Routes practitioners. So that'll be here on Zoom on Thursday, April 11th from 2 to 3 Eastern. I'll send out information about that so you can register for that event. Our Colorado Safe Routes to School webinar series is continuing. We'll be back hopefully in April with some more webinars related to Colorado Safe Routes to School. And we'll also be doing a session in May for this Walk, Ride, and Roll webinar series on engaging students with disabilities in Safe Routes to School programs, which is a really important topic, a topic that I'm interested in learning more about myself. So if you have any examples or interested in speaking, or if you know of somebody who might be a good speaker for this topic, feel free to send me an email. I'd love to get some really great speakers and examples of how Safe Routes is really supporting all of our students as they travel to school. So that'll be coming up in May, and you'll hear some more information from me about that. And lastly, if you missed it earlier, just one final reminder that we will be together in person in October in Fort Collins for our 2024 Safe Routes to School National Conference. Again, keep an eye out for information from us about about registration and all of the, nitty-gritty details for getting to Fort Collins and gathering with us. And again, the call for proposals is due or closes on March 4th. So you have about a month to submit your best and brightest ideas for your presentations. We're really excited to hear from you all. So that is it for me today. I know there was a lot of rapid fire information. So if you ever want to, reach out and talk about any of this further, I'm happy to go more in detail about some of the ideas that I shared on the webinar today. Feel free to email me, give me a call. You're welcome to do so. I'm always happy to chat with you. And I hope that you all, have some new partnership ideas and that you'll share them with us as you embark on them in the next few months. And just thank you all so much for being here. I will follow up after this webinar with the presentation slides, the recording, and a link to a survey. Let us know how you did, what you want us to keep, what you want us to improve. And that's it for me for today. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you all hopefully in April for our open Zoom session. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for participating in the chat and sharing all of your awesome ideas and resources. Really, really appreciate it. And have a great one. And we will see you all soon. Thank you all so much.